everyone. My name's Tom. I'm the head of media at Paddy Power. If any of you don't know what it is we do, we're a high street and online betting brand. And I'm here to talk to you about a campaign we ran across the Ryder Cup last year. So before we get onto that, I just would like to talk to you for a little while about our campaign positioning. We say we're all about giving power to the punter, and what does that actually mean? So one key insight for us at Paddy Power is that we realised that for the vast majority of our customers, people who are betting on events, they're fans first, punters second. You know, placing a bet on a sporting event is merely just a way to heighten the excitement of watching that particular event. A second insight for us is that what fans care about, what they're talking about, is kind of increasingly being ignored by the wider sports establishment. And by that we mean the kind of governing bodies, the broadcasters, you know, the sponsors, people like us in that room. We should probably have a long, hard look at ourselves. And a good example of this is this week was the FA. You know, they come out and they announce they're going to kick off the FA Cup final at 5:15. Nothing too bad that, you might think. Except for the fans coming down from Manchester and Wigan, it means they can't get there and back in a day on public transport. So kind of completely ignoring the wishes of the fans of the teams involved. So what we've realised at Paddy Power is that with a kind of healthy anti-establishment streak, we can give a voice to these fans. We're in kind of a unique position to give a voice to what they're actually talking about and what they're actually saying. And how that kind of comes to life for us is in We Hear You. And so what this is taking real consumer, customer tweets, Facebook posts, real social media conversations, and responding to them in a Paddy Power style. Now, that Paddy Power style is slightly irreverent, slightly over the top, slightly mischievous. And so a couple of examples of how this has kind of transpired across the last year or so. This was a particular campaign that we launched around Cheltenham last year. And this was a message we received that said, you know, dear Paddy Power, really hope that the Chavs don't ruin Cheltenham like they did Ascot. So what did we do? We created a spoof TV spot, which, you know, took a Paddy Power vet, and he went around the racecourse, tranquilizing all the Chavs veterinary style. A second example is a campaign we ran for the Euros last year. Someone got in touch with us to say, you know, what's UEFA doing? They've banned the Vuvuzela. There's always one, isn't there? And so what we did is we built the world's largest Vuvuzela, put it on the back of a post-Cold War missile launcher, and drove it out to the Ukraine. So, coming on to the Ryder Cup, I mean, I guess the first thing to say is obviously the Ryder Cup's a massive event, you know, global TV audience of in excess of 500 million, or however much you kind of believe those figures. But the real important thing for us was what the Ryder Cup is in terms of golf. Now, it's the first time, it's the only time, it's the only event where golf becomes truly partisan, becomes properly tribal. You know, it draws in an audience that otherwise wouldn't be interested in golf because it's a good opportunity to get together and watch us beat the Americans. There was an event a few years ago, it was a Ryder Cup match at a course, you know, off the east coast of the States, a place called Kiowa Island, and it was subsequently renamed the War on the Shore. Now, this was the time around the first kind of Gulf War, and the Americans thought it would be a great idea to come out in Desert Storm combat gear, which is a little bit over the top for a golf match. But what that meant was that the conversation in the build-up to the event was hugely centered around home advantage for the Americans, you know, the vociferous, passionate home crowd, and what that was going to mean for kind of Team Europe. So we were hearing a lot of chatter from kind of our social media context about, you know, hope Team Europe doesn't get put off by those loudmouth Americans. It's also worth saying it's a tournament we had a little bit of a history with. So this was 2010, when the tournament was held here in the UK. This is actually Celtic Manor in Wales. This was a slightly less subtle attempt for us to try and piggyback on the back of the event. We tried to build a huge Hollywood Paddy Power sign in the field next to it. Unfortunately, it's not a quick process. They saw us coming. They managed to get themselves a little bit mobilized and went through the various legal channels, got us injuncted, and we had to take it down. So we only got it halfway up, if you like. Actually, Terry Matthews, who's the man who owns Celtic Manor, the man responsible for bringing the Ryder Cup to Wales for the first time, he then went on national media and called us scum. So the challenge for us was, we knew that, you know, kind of our fans, our followers, the people that are placing bets with us, their biggest concern was kind of how is Team Europe going to get on, with the vociferous American crowd? It's an elitist event, Ryder Cup. It was a long way. It was near Chicago. It's difficult to get tickets for. There's going to be very few European fans on the ground. We knew that, platforms such as Twitter give people a voice and a platform in the virtual sense, but we wanted to make that kind of a physical presence at the event itself. But we also knew our card was marked a little bit, and that we couldn't do any kind of, fancy long-term builds. Otherwise, they'd put a stop to us, quite frankly. So we got our heads together, we had a little think, and this is what we came up with. So our plan was to turn the skies above Medina into a blank canvas for the world's largest tweets. So we took a team of skywriters, and we could tweet out vast skywriting that could be seen for 20 miles around, and each character would be larger than the shard. Our call to arms on this, so obviously Twitter was the natural platform. We sent out a tweet, calling people to send their messages of support for Team Europe or their touchdowns for Team USA and help a yank to shank. Building a little bit on what Bruce was talking about earlier, we amplified the campaign offline. On the left is a still from a TV ad that we ran in the broadcast of the Ryder Cup on Sky Sports, including the hashtag #GoEurope, and to the right was a press ad that we took out on national press. Now, it's worth saying we had to break this all on the day of the actual stunt, so it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday was the first day of the skywriting, so prior to that, we didn't release anything, no kind of call to actions at all. The first tweet went out on the Saturday morning, as did this advertising. So extending our organic reach, we came across the hashtag #GoEurope. It was a hashtag that fans were already using in kind of a natural sense. And so we kind of carefully chose that because we wanted something that we could pick it on the back of and amplify rather than having to generate a groundswell of opinion behind a new hashtag. We took a promoted trend on the Saturday of the Ryder Cup to promote what we were doing. Obviously, the fact that we were using a slightly organic hashtag already meant that some celebrities, such as Gary, who's coming on later, was already using it, and that helped extend it further. And then throughout the day, when people's tweets were being selected and we were writing up in the sky, we're obviously responding back with actual tweet images so they could see their words up above the course. And we've just got a short video of the campaign in action.
7 birdies for Team USA, 2 for Europe. That just about tells the story.
We know that the Americans are really eager to get that trophy back.
Up in the sky, do it for Sevi, go Europe.
I thought we'd seen everything we could see on the first tee of a Ryder Cup, but today we've seen some other stuff.
Rory having a chuckle at something there. Well, they're all up to their tricks this morning, and it's certainly what for Rose and Pilter.
Yeah, give him my phone, I want to take a picture of this. Oh, he's going to get ya. Thanks, Colin.
Oh, what a comeback from Europe! Oh my goodness gracious me! Europe have mounted the greatest comeback in Ryder Cup history.
Personally, I never get tired of watching that video. A little bit about the results. So I'm sure these kind of KPIs have been kind of well surpassed since the growth of the platform. But the promoted trend had 18 million trend impressions. We had a trend engagement rate of 21%. The hashtag #GoEurope was retweeted 62,000 times. Our followers increased sixfold as an implication of this campaign. And we also earned kind of media PR coverage around circa £4.5 million. So, thank you.